Our next cold front is currently moving through the ArkLaTex, bringing us some cooler temperatures, but also elevated fire danger as winds start to pick up and relative humidity begins to lower. The good news, we've got rain chances on the way, still tracking those heading into next week, and things are still looking good on that front. We have got a lot to dive into today with your forecast. I'm meteorologist Jake Lambright. Of course, our latest forecast always on KSLA.com. You can also follow us on all platforms at KSLA, or you can keep up with me as well at Jake Lambright on all platforms. Like I said, a lot to dive into with this next front, so I want to go ahead and dive right into it. You'll see, again, that front moving through right now. I'm going to show you temperatures here in just a minute. That's going to really bring our temperatures down, but also cause for winds to really pick up across the region. We'll start off with, again, a look at temperatures. This is as of about 3:30 on Friday afternoon, so this will be dated by the time it's live. But look at that. You can see just how sharp that temperature gradient is across the ArkLaTex. North of I-30, temperatures are already falling into the mid-60s, mid-70s there, Mount Pleasant. The rest of us still in the low to mid-80s. Of course, all of us benefiting from the cooler temperatures tomorrow briefly before we start to warm back up, and we've got other changes to kind of monitor as we head into next week. Now, when it comes to fire danger, that will be elevated on Saturday, especially from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's when relative humidity is going to be at its lowest, about 20 to 30%, but we'll also have stronger winds out of the northeast. These could gust to upwards of 20 miles per hour at times. You take those factors and you add the ongoing drought conditions on top of that, you've got the perfect recipe for fires to spread out of control very quickly. So I cannot stress enough, please don't burn anything outdoors tomorrow. Some parts of the ArkLaTex are still under burn bans. Of course, we'll have more on that on our website. You can check for more as we continue to update that. However, even if you're not under a burn ban, please, please, please refrain from doing any kind of outdoor burning throughout the day on Saturday. Friday, as I'm recording this as of about 3:30, we've seen max wind gusts 15 to 25 miles per hour, but once that front moves through, those wind gusts are going to look like nothing. Watch what happens as we head closer to Friday evening, Friday night. This is 6 p.m. We start to see wind gusts between 25 to 35 miles per hour move through, and those continue on through a good chunk of Friday night into early Saturday morning. Now, as I mentioned, winds are breezy Saturday, but not as breezy as they'll be when that front initially moves through late Friday into early Saturday. You'll see Saturday morning, we're talking gusts about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Much of that will continue through about the middle of the afternoon, and then wind gusts really start to taper off rapidly from there. You'll see by about 7, 8 o'clock, these are wind gusts. So those little isolated bursts of stronger winds staying between 5 to 10 miles per hour. So a big improvement compared to what we're going to be seeing Friday evening, Friday night, and into the early part of Saturday. As I did mention a moment ago, we've still got those drought conditions that we're dealing with across much of our area. There's a look at the latest drought monitor, which we talked about a little bit more last week, and I'll actually leave the card for that video up in the top right corner if you want a little more in-depth comparison between last week's update and this week's update. But again, the biggest change here really is the expansion of extreme or level 3 out of 4 drought conditions to include more of Natchitoches wind and even parts of Bienville Parish. When it comes to this weekend's forecast, it's going to be great out there. Look at temperatures Saturday afternoon, upper 60s, low 70s. Of course, we'll also have the gusty winds, so it might feel a little breezier out there compared to usual, a little bit cooler also as a result of that, but otherwise can't ask for much more with that Saturday forecast. As we head into Sunday, those sunny skies are expected to continue. However, it does come at a cost. We've got lower winds and warmer temperatures, so not going to have that breeze to really help us out as temperatures warm up on Sunday. When it comes to the precipitation outlook, next 8 to 14 days, there's higher confidence in an above average amount of precipitation. And we'll talk more about that in your 12-day forecast here in just a little while, but just within that 7-day view, I'm going to take myself off there so you can see it a little bit better. Maybe a stray shower or two as that cold front moves through this evening into tonight, early Saturday morning, but really most of us are going to stay dry and not see rain. Really Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's when our rain chances are going to be the highest, and some of those could carry over into the weekend of Easter Sunday. So we'll be watching that very, very closely. When it comes to our rainfall forecast over the next 7 days, you'll have to bear with me as that waits to load in, but totals continue to trend upward, of course, as we get more days in that week time frame. Now, much of the area expected to see anywhere from 3/4 of an inch of rain to 1 inch of rain. And of course, that doesn't account what we could see Easter Sunday weekend. So again, higher rainfall totals definitely in the cards for us next couple days. As far as areas from Dallas to basically Monroe could see 1/2 inch plus of rain along the I-20 corridor. Totals a little bit less there in Jackson Notice northern parts of the ArkLaTex there could see, like 3/4 of an inch of rain to 1 inch of rain, and then expanding that out whenever it comes to really the eastern half of the United States. Areas that could see the most rain, 1.5 to 2 inches of rain, include southern Missouri into southern Illinois, parts of Kentucky, and Tennessee. So we're not in the highest amount of rainfall zone per se in the ArkLaTex, but we are going to be picking up a good amount of much needed rain. I'll go ahead and kind of zoom that back in for you so you can see it there. Again, we really need this rain, and we finally have some on the horizon. All right, let's talk 7-day forecast. I'll take myself off there for just a second, then we'll expand it and look at your 12-day forecast for the Shreveport, Bossier, Tyler, Monroe, Texarkana area. Again, looking at a great forecast for Saturday afternoon, low 80s on Sunday, back to the mid and upper 80s Monday and Tuesday, and then that rain really starts to cool us off as we head toward the second half of next week. Highs there in the upper 70s and lower 80s once again. A look at your 12-day forecast. So we'll go ahead and pop that up on the screen for you there. If you want to see those first 3 days, again, I'll leave myself off for just a second, but you'll notice that active pattern does continue well into the month of April, at least through the first 7 days of April, and then temperatures looking to stay a little bit cooler, maybe upper 70s as we head toward not next work week, but the weekend or the week following that, toward the middle of that week around April 8th. Could be keeping it in the upper 70s with a little bit more drier weather finally returning after a more active stretch that we'll see once we hit the start of April. All right, there's a look at your 12-day forecast. Again, next couple of days, we've got the breezy winds through Saturday. We've got high fire danger Saturday as well. From there, all eyes really shift to next week when that pattern starts to pick up, become a little more active. To be completely transparent with you, I am seeing some signals for maybe a couple strong storms. With that said, we're still, 5 to 7 days out. A lot could change there. Not seeing anything, though, that really jumps out at me as a significant severe weather event at this time. Of course, we'll be watching it closely. We'll be giving you the first alert to the latest as we learn more. Again, that latest forecast you can always find over on our website at ksla.com. Of course, we'll have the latest for you there and on our social media platforms at KSLA as well. You can also follow me at Jake Lambright, all platforms for the latest weather information there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you right back here Monday afternoon.